You pay your taxes, you play by the rules, and you you count on your state to have your back, right? That's how it's supposed to work. But what if it doesn't? What if the very state you trusted is teetering on the edge of collapse, drowning in debt, chopping budgets left and right, and watching more residents leave than it brings in? Scary, huh? Well, this isn't some dystopian fantasy. It's happening right now across the U.S. A growing number of states aren't just struggling. They're spiraling toward financial ruin. And no, it's not bad luck or a rough year. This is the result of years, sometimes decades, of overspending, neglected infrastructure, and economies that just couldn't keep up. Here's the part that stings. Many of these places were once booming. They were symbols of American strength, innovation, and prosperity. Now, they're scraping by, fighting just to keep basic services running. The lights, they're flickering. Still feeling confident about your home state? Think again. Because the financial storm isn't coming, it's already here. These are the 10 U.S. states most likely to go broke first in 2025. Let's start with number 10, Illinois. At first glance, Illinois looks like your typical Midwest state. Sturdy, central, dependable. But take a peek under the hood, and the truth. Shocking. Illinois is sinking under more than $140 billion in unfunded pension obligations. Yes, billion with a B. And that's just scratching the surface. You might think, okay, but it's got Chicago. That's a world-class city. Surely that counts for something. It should. But mismanagement, a shrinking population, and skyrocketing taxes are driving people away. Yes. In fact, for 9 years straight, more people have left Illinois than moved in. Think about that, 9 years. And it's not just residents who feel the squeeze. Even lottery winners. Yes, people who were supposed to be cashing in on life-changing money have faced delays in getting paid. Imagine winning big, and then being told, sorry, the state's broke. Come back later. That's not just embarrassing. That's terrifying. If your state can't pay out lottery winners, what else can't it do? The cracks are showing, and Illinois might just be the first domino. But hold on, this is just the beginning. Number 9, New Jersey. Think you're safe just because you're living in the wealthy Northeast, rubbing shoulders with New York City. Think again. From the outside, New Jersey glitters. Polished neighborhoods, bustling suburbs, high incomes. But look closer and you'll see the rot underneath. New Jersey is sitting on one of the worst-funded public pension systems in the entire country. It's only got about half the money it needs to meet its retirement promises. 50%. That's not a rounding error. That's a time bomb. And guess what? While services get squeezed, the property taxes, through the roof. Residents are paying more than $9,500 a year on average. That's the highest in the entire country. You read that right. Yes. So, what happens when people get fed up with paying more for less? They leave. And leave they have. In just 1 year, more than 64,000 people said, that's it, we're done, and moved out. Most went to states where the taxes are lower and the finances make a little more sense. You can't blame them, can you? New Jersey is the definition of style over substance right now. It's trying hard to look strong, but its foundation is crumbling. And if you think, oh, that could never happen in my state, well, you might want to think again. Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell because we're just getting started. And trust me, what's coming next is even more jaw-dropping. These are the stories the headlines gloss over, but you need to know. Coming in hot at number 8. Connecticut. This one's wild, because if you just drive through Connecticut, it looks calm, quiet, rich even. Elegant suburbs, sleek corporate parks, and lots of high earners. But under all that polish, a financial nightmare is unfolding. Connecticut has over $95 billion in unfunded liabilities, mainly pensions and retiree healthcare. That's more than $25,000 per person. So imagine being in a family of 4. Just by living in Connecticut, you're indirectly responsible for over $100,000 in government debt. How does that even happen? And here's the real kicker. Connecticut has one of the highest average household incomes in the nation. People are earning a lot. But they're also being taxed into the ground. Property taxes, income taxes, sales taxes. They're all near the top of the charts. And what do residents get in return? Crumbling roads, delayed infrastructure upgrades, and underfunded public schools. Where is all that money going? And while the bills pile up, the people pack up. From retirees heading south to young professionals chasing opportunity in more affordable states, the exodus is real. In 2022 alone, Connecticut lost a net 27,000 residents. And when high earners leave, the ones who paid the biggest share of the taxes, everyone left behind has to carry a heavier load. That means you could end up footing an even bigger bill. This didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of short-term thinking, overpromising benefits, and refusing to face financial reality. And now, even cities like Hartford and New Haven are showing serious signs of strain. One has already come close to bankruptcy. That's not a rumor. That's documented history. So what's next? Can Connecticut turn things around? Or is the financial collapse just a matter of time? Now a buckle up for number 7, Kentucky. You might picture Kentucky as rolling hills, bourbon and bluegrass. And yeah, all of that is true. But look past the postcard image, and you'll find a state caught in a dangerous financial spiral. Kentucky is facing one of the worst pension crises in the entire country. Its public employee retirement system is funded at just 44%. That means they've promised billions in retirement benefits, but only have a fraction of the money to actually deliver on those promises. Scary. Absolutely. And it's not just numbers on a spreadsheet. This affects real people. Teachers, police officers, firefighters. All wondering if the checks they were promised will even be there when they need them. In some years, Kentucky had to divert over 15% of its entire state budget just to plug the pension gap. That's money not going to schools, not going to hospitals, not going to fixing roads. It's going into a hole that's getting deeper by the year. Still think this doesn't touch the average person. Does. And it's getting worse. Add in persistent rural poverty, decaying infrastructure, and a stagnant population, and what do you get? A shrinking tax base. Fewer people working equals fewer taxes collected equals more cuts to basic services. So loop. And it's tightening. Sure, there's been some investment in cities like Louisville and Lexington. But for the rest of the state, the gap between rich and poor counties is widening fast. In some areas, the only major employer left is the government itself. That's not growth, that's survival. Even worse. Kentucky has one of the lowest effective tax rates in the US. Sounds nice, right? But pair that with massive spending needs, and you've got a recipe for disaster. If you can't raise taxes, but also can't cut services, what's left to do? That's the question lawmakers in Kentucky have to answer. And every year they kick the can. The situation gets a little more dire. And now here it comes, the big one. Number 6. California. The 5th largest economy in the world. Not just the US, the world. So how in the world is California at risk of going broke? Here's how. Ambition without discipline. California is overflowing with potential. Silicon Valley, Hollywood, the world's biggest tech companies, legendary cities. And yet, it's staring down a projected $38 billion budget deficit for 2025. That's not just a hiccup. That's a warning shot. And it's not a one-time thing. California's finances swing wildly year to year because it relies so heavily on capital gains taxes and the top 1% of earners. When the stock market dips, the whole state feels it. And get this, between 2020 and 2023, more than 800,000 people left California. That's basically the entire population of San Francisco. Gone. And when those high earners pack up, billions in tax revenue leave with them. Housing costs, through the roof. Homelessness, crisis levels. Infrastructure, falling apart. High-speed rail projects stall, roads crumble. And even clean water is becoming harder to manage. And despite having the largest education budget in the nation, the state still struggles with K-12 school rankings. Why? Bureaucracy, mismanagement, wasted resources. And companies. They're fleeing too. Tesla, Oracle, even smaller startups, they're packing up and heading to Texas, Nevada, Arizona. Anywhere with fewer regulations and lower costs.